Hello everyone and welcome to a new reading vlog. Now I am starting this one off a bit early. I still haven't finished the books from my previous reading vlog yet. However, I did want to get a head start on this one, mainly because it is the weekend now. It's currently September the 16th. And I know me, if I was going to start this vlog in the middle of the week, it would not happen. So I'm here now to start us off, hopefully on a good note. And this week I am focusing on two books in particular, which you will have seen from the thumbnail. And without meaning to, I have chosen two yellow books for this reading vlog. Now, the first book I'm going to be focusing on is 6 Tudor Queens, Anne of Kleve, Queen of Secrets by Alison Weir. This one is the fourth book in the 6 Tudor Queens series. You guys know, if you've been following my videos for a while, that I am loving my experience reading these books. This is the next one that I need to read. I read the previous one following Jane Seymour last month, and I am just in the mood to pick up the next one now. I actually don't know too much about Anne of Kleve, to be honest with you guys. I feel like the first three wives are, I don't want to say the most memorable, but I feel like they are. They're the ones that kind of started everything off in a way in terms of Henry having 6 wives. Catherine of Aragon, of course, was his first wife. They were married for years. Then came Anne Boleyn, who was essentially the catalyst for reform in England in terms of religion and setting up the Church of England. And then we follow Jane Seymour, who is considered to be Henry VIII's one true love. She's the woman who bore him a son, and unfortunately she did die a few days after giving birth. And so we move on now to Anne of Kleve. I will just read you the back because it's quite a short synopsis. It says, a German princess with a guilty secret. The king is in love with the portrait, but the real Anna does not enchant him. She must win him over. Everyone knows that Henry won't stand for a problem queen, but rumours of Anna's past are rife at court. Dangerous talk that could mark her downfall. Can this clever, spirited young woman reach out in friendship to the king and gain his love forever? The fourth of Henry's queens, her story. History tells us she was never crowned, but her tale does not end there. These are such an amazing set of books, especially if you do want to learn more about the Tudor dynasty and the Tudor era in general. They are historical fiction, but Alison Weir is a historian, and so these books are as factually accurate as they could be, whilst not being too dense. I feel like they are such easy books to just fall into and fly through, and it's very interesting seeing this time period imagined through the eyes of the women in this story, rather than focusing on Henry VIII himself and his court as well. So I'm very excited to be getting to this one. This is my physical book for the week, and then my audiobook for the week is going to be Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Now, I am currently reading Babel by R.F. Kuang. I am listening to the audiobook for that one and I am loving it, you guys. So I am very excited to dive into this one. Again, I'll read you the synopsis, it's not too long. It says, Athena Liu is a literary darling and June Hayward is literally nobody. When Athena dies in a freak accident, June steals her unpublished manuscript and publishes it as her own under the ambiguous name Juniper Song. But as evidence threatens June's stolen success, she discovers exactly how far she will go to keep what she thinks she deserves. What happens next is entirely everyone else's fault. I'm really excited to dive into this, you guys. It has had so much hype ever since it came out. I feel like it's going to be such an important book as well, focusing on identity theft, of course, but also the deeper element of that relating to race. It has so many good quotes on the back praising it, essentially, and yeah, I don't really know what to expect. All I know is that it's a thriller written by R.F. Kuang, and to be honest, I am pretty much sold. I feel like I'm in my R.F. Kuang era right now. I've read Babel, which is a dark academia book. This one is a thriller, and I do own the Poppy War trilogy, which is a fantasy series, so who knows, I might have to dive into that one after finishing this one. But as I mentioned, I will be listening to this audibly just because I need an audiobook, and this is on my set TBR, so on my commute to and from work I will be listening to this one each day. My commute is 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back, so we have an hour of listening time at least every day, so hopefully I can make quite a good dent in this soon. But yes, these are the books that I'm going to be prioritizing this week. I am so excited to get to both. I've not really started off the month amazingly, just because it's taken me 2 weeks now to read 3 books, which isn't really that bad, but I have been struggling to make time for reading again ever since starting back at work in September. For those of you who don't know, I am a primary school teacher. I teach reception 1, 2 and 3, and so I have a lot going on, a lot of different things that need to be done in order to accommodate every single student in my class, which doesn't leave very much time for reading, especially as I do go to the gym and do some fitness classes as well. So I'm hoping that with this week I can prioritize these 2 and I can fly through them. I did read the Jane Seymour book relatively quickly. They are quite big, but as I mentioned, they're easy to fly through. The only problem is that I read the James Seymour book and the Anne Boleyn book when I was on my holiday, so I did have time to just sit and read. So we'll see with this one, but Yellowface is one that I will definitely be reading this week because, as I mentioned, I need an audiobook to listen on my way to and from work. I am hoping I can manage it though, because yeah, these are 2 books I'm very excited for and I genuinely can't wait to read them. As I mentioned though, I still haven't finished off Babel and If We Were Villains, so I do need to do that before carrying on with this vlog. However, I only need to film my wrap-up clip for that now because most of the vlog is already filmed and done. So I've decided that I'm going to take you with me today. I am going to my mum's house because it's Sophie, my stepsister's 22nd birthday, I think it is this year. So I'm going up to celebrate with them today, and then it's my niece's 2nd birthday tomorrow, which I probably won't film much tomorrow, but I feel like today I do have a lot of fun stuff that I want to get done. So yes, I'm going to take you with me to Broughton, I think. We're going to go shopping there for a few bits, and I will possibly be having some lunch there as well because I'm very hungry. The rugby's on as well. It's Wales versus Portugal, I believe, today. That's at 4 o'clock. It's currently 20-1, so I do need to go. I'm waiting for Tom to get back and then we are just gonna go. Then of course we have all of the birthday celebrations, and yeah, I just hope it's going to be a really fun time. So I'm gonna show you guys as much as I can. I do want to mention as well that Tom and I did go and see A Haunting in Venice last night, which is the new Hercule Poirot film. I will say, I don't know if it's my favourite. It was definitely scary, guys. Like, I do not like scary films, and there were a lot of jump scares in that, which, yeah, not the best for me, but I understand why they did it the way that they did. It is inspired by Halloween Party, which is one of the Hercule Poirot murder mystery books. However, I'd say it's very loosely based off of that. The kind of premise at the start is very similar, but then it just goes in a completely different direction, which was actually quite refreshing and I did really enjoy it. But there were just some camera angles that I wasn't a big fan of. It just made me laugh more than it did kind of draw me in, and so yeah, that was a bit of a weird experience because I just don't like seeing scary-ish films in the cinema, but I do love a Poirot film, and so I did have a good time with it. I felt like it was a really well done film. I would recommend it if you enjoy Agatha Christie's works and if you have seen the previous 2 films as well. They are not related in any way, but you definitely get the same vibes in all 3. And I'm mentioning this now because I did film a few clips of us going to watch it last night, which I will include once I stop talking so that you can see what we got up to. But yeah, I just wanted to pop that in there because we did go. It was a good time. Tom really liked it as well. And even though I think my favourite is still The Murder on the Orient Express, this one was definitely up there. I think I just have to rewatch it at home and see what I missed out on because there were some bits that I knew a jump scare was coming, so I had to hide my face. But it was a really well done mystery. I was not quite sure who'd done it by the end, and there were a lot of twists and turns in it as well, and it was definitely spooky. So a great film for the spooky season, and as I mentioned, I would highly recommend. But I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to take you for a walk, wait for Tom to get back, and then we are going to head on off to my mum's house. So for now, I am going to leave you here. I hope you guys enjoy the vlog, and I will take you back to last night and film some more clips of today afterwards as well. guys, I do have some reading updates for you, but before I dive into those, I thought that we could unbox some parcels together. As you can see, I have two here. One is quite clearly from eBay, the other is from Vinted, and I'm very excited for both. Let's start off with the eBay one though, because this could go one of two ways. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I have been collecting certain editions of Agatha Christie's books. I have all of the Miss Marple, Tommy and Tuppence and Poirot books, except for one Poirot book, which should, fingers crossed, be this one. That one is of course Halloween Party. Because of the new film A Haunting in Venice coming out, Halloween Party, or at least the old cover, is out of stock everywhere, and the new movie cover and the newest updated cover for Agatha Christie's books as well is what's being sold. Now, I did find this one on eBay. It did have the artwork that I was looking for and a little moustache on the spine, so I'm really hoping that this is the same edition as my other ones and not one of the smaller ones. I've honestly been way too scared to open it, so I'm just gonna bite the bullet and do so now. This is actually quite hard to open as well. I should have bought scissors or something with me. But I'm in, and let's see. This is not the right edition. Oh my gosh, I'm actually gutted. I'm gonna have to send this back. This is a beautiful edition, but it's not the edition that I'm after. I will pop up a picture of the edition that I'm after. That is what was advertised on eBay, and I'm actually really annoyed that it's not, because it literally showed the front, side and back, so why would you go ahead and put a different one in? That is disappointing, and I'm actually really annoyed. This has happened twice now where I've ordered an edition of this book and it's been the wrong one, so if any of you have the edition of Halloween Party that I'm looking for and you want to get rid of it for a reasonable price, please do reach out to me, because yeah, I just want to cry. I probably won't keep this one because it was £10 and I can get that cheaper on Waterstones anyway. So I am going to have to reach out to the seller. I'm going to say that the item is not as described and hopefully I will get a refund, but that is so disappointing, guys. I genuinely want to cry. Let's hope that we have some better luck with this one. Now, this is another Agatha Christie book. I'm really sorry, guys, but as I mentioned, the new film A Haunting in Venice just came out, and Tom and I did go and see it, as I think I mentioned in this vlog, and I really liked it and went into a bit of a deep dive on Vinted for Agatha Christie books anyway, looking for Halloween Party, and I found the movie tie-in editions for Murder on the Orient Express, which I do actually have here. I didn't unbox it in this video for some reason, but yeah, it's this one. It has the train on there, and this one should be Death on the Nile, which it is. Okay, the guy said that there wasn't any damage to it, but there's a little bit of damage. This is really pretty though. I really do like the movie tie-in editions actually. So here is a closer look at both. As you can see, they kind of look very similar, and I really did like that for both of these. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but the spine for Death on the Nile is a little bit bent here and here, but that's fine. And then this is what the backs of the books look like. So this one was a relative success. It's not the best condition, but the front cover at least is completely fine. So yeah, I'll probably just colour in that little piece that's missing black or something like that, but yeah, very happy with these two. Gutted once again about Halloween Party. Moving on though, I do have some updates as I mentioned, and I will start off with Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Now, I'm currently up to chapter 11 in this, which is page 134. I'm trying not to mess up the pages too much because of this lovely stenciled edge. I don't want it to get marked if I separate the pages, but yes, I'm listening to the audiobook. The audiobook is actually fantastic, you guys, though it's so hard listening to our main character because she is one of the most insufferable people ever, and with her being the narrator, we don't get a break from her. So yeah, that is very well done on R.F. Kuang's part. So in this one, we are following June Hayward, who is a struggling writer, and she is actually friends with another very successful writer called Athena Liu. Now, one night, both of them are together, and unfortunately, Athena actually dies very suddenly and very tragically. Now, you'd think that June would be in bits over Athena's death, however, she actually isn't. The experience has been traumatizing, but in the middle of all that chaos, June decides to do something drastic, and that is to steal the manuscript of Athena's newest book. Now, Athena is very old-fashioned. She doesn't have a laptop, she doesn't like writing on a laptop, she instead has a typewriter, and she doesn't send any sort of drafts off to editors until the whole manuscript is complete. So it seems that no one else has seen this manuscript before. They don't know what Athena was planning for her next book, and so June does decide to take this opportunity to steal her friend's work. This is definitely not a good idea though, because if you couldn't tell, Athena is Chinese and June is of course a white woman. Now, Athena has decided to look into the mistreatment of Chinese people during World War II, and that is essentially what her novel is about. And so when June decides to take this novel, it's obviously not anything to do with her background or her race, and so that in itself of course raises a lot of controversial issues. She also does decide to change her name to Juniper Song as well, which again is really not good. I think she does do it to sound more Chinese to her readers, and yeah, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And so you can imagine that being in June's head is just not it. She is very delusional. She is trying to justify her actions by saying that even though Athena wrote this manuscript, she has now taken it and made it her own, and she's corrected it and made it better, and that this is the best book that she's ever written in her life. And I'm like, well, it's not the best book that you've ever written in your life, it's the best book that you've edited in your life. If you feel like that about writing, you should become an editor, not an author. And yeah, she is literally insufferable, guys, but that is such an amazing feat on R.F. Kuang's part, because you truly do grow to hate this character, but then again you do also sympathize with her in some parts because she is going through a lot, but of course that is because of what she's done. She's racked with guilt, as she should be, and yeah, I'm interested to see where this book goes. It is a pretty short book and the audiobook does read very quickly, so I do reckon I can fly through this one and finish it off pretty soon. But all in all, this is a fantastic book, even though the main character is just completely delusional and insufferable. But yeah, kudos to R.F. Kuang, because her writing ability is fantastic and it is pulling out so many different emotions in me whilst reading this book. And then of course we have 6 Tudor Queens, Anna of Kleve, which I don't actually have on me. I think I've left it downstairs, which is typical of me, but I don't really have too much to say about this one at this point in time anyway. I've gotten up to page 36, I want to say. Definitely haven't reached the 40 mark yet, and it's definitely taken me quite a while to get into this book. I don't know why. I think it's because we are in Germany and so we are away from the goings on of court, and in the previous books it's kind of opened up with our main character growing up and hearing about what's going on in court and hearing about what King Henry VIII is doing, what is going on in terms of politics, and so you do get all of that background information even though you're not really focusing on that in particular. And I feel like in this one we're so kind of isolated from that. It's just very different, and I feel like it definitely took me a while to get into the story. Also, this book opens with a very weird scene, and I don't know if it's factually accurate because a lot of people have been questioning it and we don't really have an answer. But this book starts off with Anna at 15 years old, and one day her cousin comes over to visit their estate and she and a group of friends decide to show him around. However, the group of friends decide to go and do something else, and her cousin and her go up to a kind of tower room where they do start kissing, and that ultimately leads to other things. Now this guy is just telling her like, oh, it's fine, we're just kissing, nothing's gonna happen, don't worry about it. But of course, more than kissing happens. Anna is too innocent that she doesn't actually understand what's happening, and so a few weeks later when she starts thinking that she could be pregnant, things spiral out of control. She actually goes full term and delivers a baby boy, but unfortunately straight away she had to give him up because this was hidden from her whole family essentially. She knew that it would put her and her family to shame if anyone found out, and so her and her nursemaid go away pretending that she's ill while whilst she gives birth, and then the nursemaid arranges for a family to adopt this child. This all happened in the first like 20 pages, and I really wasn't expecting it. It was quite harrowing actually, and it was really, really sad. And as I mentioned, I'm not sure whether that is 100% historically accurate or not, because it seems to be that Anne of Kleve is the queen that we know the least amount about. So that is essentially what's happened so far. I always feel a bit weird talking about the 6 Tudor Queens books, because even though I know that it's history and that these events have happened, I don't want to spoil the events of the books either, but it is historical fiction, so yeah, do with that what you will. I'm sorry if you don't want to know anything about them, but I am gonna have to kind of mention what's going on as I'm reading it as well. But at the minute, I am reading it at such a slow pace, so I really do need to dedicate some time to it. I've just been so busy these last few days, guys. I think I'm saying that in every single vlog clip at the minute, but it is very true. I am planning on sitting down tonight though and reading a bit more, so hopefully I do manage to get that done. But for now, I do feel like I've rambled on for long enough. I am very much excited to finish Yellowface. This has a bit of the envelope on from Vinted, but yeah, very excited to continue on with this one. I will probably finish it by the time I next update this vlog, because I don't reckon I will read the 6 Tudor Queens book as quickly as I would this one, and I don't want this vlog to be way too long, so I'd rather just talk about these once I've kind of gotten into them a bit more and once I finish this one. And who knows, maybe I will pick another audiobook up then to listen to on my commute to and from work. Right guys, there's no way to play this off. It's been a while since I last updated you. I've changed my hair and I have finished all of the books. So in this clip I am going to be wrapping up the vlog. I would apologise, but at this point I apologise in every video, so I feel like you're used to it by now. But life just got away from me. Work has been chaotic. I have since started a new reading vlog, so it's been about a week and a half, maybe even more, since I last updated this vlog, and my life has just been crazy. It has been controlled by work essentially, and I just haven't had the time in the evenings to dedicate to reading. I've been getting home past 6 o'clock most nights, and then because I do gym classes I have to head to those about 6:30, and then I'm not home till 8:30. Still need to take Kiri for a walk, still need to make tea and get stuff ready for the next working day. So yeah, it has been all over the place, and I'm really annoyed because I was doing really well with keeping up with updating the vlogs, and the last 2 weeks I just haven't. So I do have 3 books here to talk about. You will have seen what the last book is from the thumbnail, however it isn't one that I'm going to go into too much, so don't worry about that. I will start off with Yellowface though, because I feel like that is probably what most people are here for. This is such a popular new release, and for good reason. I really like this. I did give it 4 stars, I didn't give it the full 5, just because the ending of this fell a little bit flat for me. I wasn't completely satisfied, and the way it wrapped up could lead on to a second book. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but the potential is there, and I don't know if that's what R.F. Kong was intending. Maybe in the future she wanted to come back to this. I don't know, but this is a fantastic book focusing on race and racial inequality, where a white person tries to profit off the work of a Chinese person in this case, and it just backfires, as you would think it would, because this white author has stolen the book, which took years to research and is a subject that was so close to Athena's heart, and she as a Chinese person had made it, I don't want to say as bad as it could be, but she did reflect the bad side of the war for the Chinese people, whereas when June takes over she rewrites it so that the white people were right and that the Chinese people are there because of the fact that they weren't actually listening to what the army was saying, and that's how they got wrapped up in all of this, and it's essentially their fault. So yeah, that was such an interesting take. Of course, R.F. Kong is a Chinese American, so I do feel like this book is very personal, and you can definitely see that. Another aspect actually that I enjoyed but took me out of the story a little bit was the discourse around book Twitter and book reviewers in general. This talks a lot about cancel culture and how unfair it is, and the implications that tweets and things like that have for certain authors, which I do understand to an extent. There are people in the book community that are just horrible and are out to get people. However, I felt like this was a bit of an attack on the bookish community in some aspects. We as reviewers of course hold a lot of power over the publishing industry in a way. We have a platform where we can share our views and we can influence people to either buy or steer clear of books. Now, I would in no way intentionally bash a book without giving justified reasons, and I feel like that is the case for a lot of people. However, yeah, in this one, the discourse behind it was just very negative, which, as I mentioned, is something that happens. I've seen it happen. Cancel culture is scary and it can genuinely affect people's lives, and so yeah, there was that element to it which I just don't know, it didn't feel completely right to me, and it did take me out of the story quite a bit because it's brought back up time and time again. The main character remained very insufferable throughout. I said in my previous clips numerous times how she was just really ignorant and unaware of the fact that what she was doing was wrong. Even when people in publishing had kind of told her, you may need to hire proofreaders for this so that they can steer your edits going forward because some things in here might be harmful, and she was like, this is my book, this is what I intended, this is the way it's meant to be read, so tough, this is what's going out into the world. And it was very, very insensitive throughout. But there are some instances where she does realise that what she's doing is wrong. For instance, she's invited to do a book talk in some village, and she gets there and realizes that it's a book club for Chinese people, and she is very embarrassed from the get-go. The person that asked her to be there was very embarrassed because she assumed that with a name like Juniper Song, this woman would be Chinese, and of course she isn't. And you get a very important scene in this which is very awkward, where you see the Chinese people talk about this book and talk about some experiences that they are aware of that happened in the war, and June is definitely feeling like a bit of an imposter, so I did like that aspect of it as well. So all in all, it's a very good book. The way it's written is fantastic. It tugs at all of your emotions, good and bad, and I feel like it deals with racial injustices in the publishing community very well. Of course, I just want to say that is my opinion, and this book is written by Arif Kwang as a Chinese American, casting some sort of judgment on the publishing industry, and I feel like her message came across well. I can't speak on the representation because I am not from this ethnic background, but as a reader, as a consumer, I did really appreciate what Arif Kwang set out to do, and I feel like it hit the mark very well. Next up we have Anne of Kleve, Queen of Secrets, and I'm aware that I haven't spoken about this at all. I mentioned the weird pregnancy at the beginning and then I just didn't update you guys because it did take me a while to read this one, which is such a shame because this is definitely the one that I've enjoyed the least out of all the 6 Tudor Queens books so far, and I feel like it was just a lot of different elements in this that made me not enjoy it as much. From the get-go, I felt like it was very slow. Of course, we are in Germany, it's a completely different setting, and we are away from all of the drama that's happening at court in England. We don't really see too much of Anna's background either, which I felt like was a bit of a shame. I would have liked to have known more of her as a person, especially growing up, because yeah, it's stories like that, isn't it, that makes you kind of connect to a character a lot more, I guess, when there aren't as many expectations of you. She did grow up in a strict Catholic household, which is why the pregnancy scene was so harrowing, but it does very quickly move on from the pregnancy scene to the scene in which she's told that she is a potential bride for Henry VIII. Now we see all of the drama with her portrait being made. Holbein does come over to Germany to paint her portrait, however, apparently he took it from face on instead of giving her a side profile, and the side profile showed what she actually looked like, whereas the front profile kind of masked her, I don't want to say imperfections because that's a horrible word, but for Henry VIII it did mask her imperfections. We of course follow Anna as she does become Henry VIII's wife and as she does travel over to England. It was really interesting to see her struggles as a native German speaker. She did not speak English because why would you at that time, and so when she gets to England and she has her translators at first and then she slowly does learn the language, it was very interesting to see how she coped with all of that and all of the expectations that came with being queen in a foreign country. But my main issue with this, guys, is that it was just so long. I think she was only queen for 4 months or something like that. She wasn't ever crowned, but she was married to Henry VIII, and from the get-go you can see that he doesn't really want this marriage to happen, but he's currently at war with France and the Emperor of Spain, and so he does turn to Kleve for support, which is why he does go ahead and marry Anna of Kleve. So he is in a bit of a sticky situation where he needs the political support, because if he goes to war, of course he will need someone to back him, but he doesn't doesn't want to marry her. He's not attracted to her because of this whole pregnancy issue at the start. There is speculation that he knew about that and that is why he didn't consummate their marriage, because that is a fact, they did not consummate their marriage, and so technically her status as queen could be invalidated, which is what Henry VIII ultimately goes ahead to try and do. He gets to a point where he thinks, no, she had a pre-contract with someone else, and because of that I can't marry her. This woman can't give me children because she is already promised to another man, and so our marriage is null and void. And that is essentially what happens, and we see her deal with all of this. She doesn't have a lot of allies, which is really sad. She is quite isolated and lonely when she is queen. However, as soon as the annulment comes, she flourishes. She gets a lot of estates. We see her come into her own as a homeowner, and yeah, it was very interesting to see that side of her. She did like to be in England but away from court. And we did see another relationship pop up, which I won't say who it is because even though this is historically accurate, Alison Weir did take a lot of liberties with it, and I don't know if this character actually existed, so I won't mention him, but there is another love interest, and you do see how Anna goes ahead to live her life. I just felt like this book was so long, you guys. I feel like it could have been cut down a lot, and I don't know, I just didn't connect to this one from the start, and I was really sad about it. But Victoria, from what Victoria read, actually said that this seems to be a universal opinion in a way. This is the majority of people's lowest rated book in the 6 Tudor Queen series because of the lack of information that we actually know about Anne of Cleve. We are given this story by Alison Weir, who has taken a lot of liberties with her story because we don't really know too much about her, which is such a shame. I do wish we got more, but considering this book is the same length as the first book, say, following Catherine of Aragon, who was queen for 24 years, this did not need to be that long. So that's my gripe with it. I think it was a good book, but yeah, I just didn't quite connect to it. So I think I gave it 4 stars if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe more of a 3.5 just because it took me so long to get through and it isn't as compelling as the other books that I've read in this series. But I would highly recommend. I'm glad I read it, and I can't wait to move on to the next 6 Tudor Queens books following Catherine Howard, which I will hopefully be getting to in November. And then the last book is the one I haven't mentioned at all through this video, and it is Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth, and I'm not going to say too much about it. I started this one, I got quite a way through, to be honest with you guys, but this was just not for me at the time I picked it up. It is a chunky book, but I wanted to stick with the theme of reading yellow books for this vlog just because I thought it would be fun, and as soon as I finished the audiobook for Yellowface, I decided to give this one a go. Now, I'm not sure if it was the fact that I just had so much going on that I couldn't really get into this book. It took me the longest time to realise that this is told through multiple POVs, and I was just getting so confused until I realised that. It's also dual timeline. We are set in past and present, but then we also jump between different instances in the past, which, to be honest with you guys, I preferred what was happening in the past more than the present because, again, I was getting quite confused between our different characters. There are so many characters, there are so many different plot points that I was genuinely so confused throughout. So I did want to mention this here because it is a book that I chose to read for this vlog. However, this is a DNF, which is really sad. I am not sure whether I want to keep it and go back to it because I've seen that it is some people's favourite book, but I don't know why. For me at the time, it was not it. I don't know if it would be better if I read it physically because it is told in mixed media format as well, I believe. There are some poems in here, we have some illustrations, we have transcripts, so maybe it would be better if I read this. But yeah, unfortunately I didn't have a good time with the audiobook. I was gonna push through and try and finish it, but there are so many books on my TBR that I'm desperate to get to. I did not think that this was actually worth my time because, again, I was so confused. I didn't know what was actually going on, and I couldn't face another like 10 hours of listening to this when I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to finish it in the first place. So I wanted to mention it here. I did give it a go. Not a favourite of mine. I have DNF'd it. It may be temporary, it may not. Please do let me know your thoughts on it if you have read it down in the comments below because, as I mentioned, a lot of people love this. It had a lot of hype when it first came out, and yeah, I don't know if it was just me at the time I decided to pick this up, but I just could not connect to it, unfortunately. So all in all, we didn't have the best reading vlog. We had a 4-star book, a 3.5 possibly, and a DNF, which definitely isn't the best, but I am glad that I read these two books and gave this one a go. And once again, I'm just sorry that it took me so long to close out this vlog, because I did go ahead and edit it, and that's when I realized that I never did. So hopefully you guys managed to follow along with what was going on. I am still going to post it because I feel like it's interesting to see my thoughts in real time as I was reading these books, and I feel like they do also help me form my reviews for my wrap-ups as well, because I do tend to look back at how I was feeling as I was reading the books in order to condense my thoughts and give you guys a more thought out review after I've sat on the books for a while. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this vlog regardless. If you have made it this far through and would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and leave me some yellow emojis down in the comments. I would definitely like to do more themed vlogs like this. I had a really good time choosing out the books that I wanted to read, and it made me read books that I wouldn't necessarily have picked up otherwise, and I'm glad that I did, because Plain Bad Heroines has been on my shelves for a long time, and had it not been for this vlog it would have stayed unread for a while. So I'm glad that I've read it. I'm glad that I've seen that maybe it's not the one for me, and who knows, maybe you guys can convince me to read it. If not, I will possibly unhaul it, but that is completely okay, and I'm glad that I've done it now rather than a few years down the line. So all in all, I feel like this vlog did have its purpose, and I did really enjoy filming it and reading some books that followed a particular theme. If you did like this video, please don't forget to click the like button as well as the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. I'm having a massive filming day today, which is why I'm all made up. I have a book unboxing video and a Lumicrate unboxing. I am filming my wrap up for September, so you can hear my thoughts on all of the books that I did read throughout that month, and I'm filming a couple of other clips for different vlogs and things that are in the works as well. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please do click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a video goes live from me. But I am going to end this video here. Thank you so much for watching. It truly does mean the world to me, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!